Central Connecticut, and Sheila Leach, Vice President of Operations at the HBRA. And today we are joined by two very special guests, longtime members of the association, Wiedenmann from Sunwood Development and Joel Grossman from Calgany Real Estate. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hey, Eric. Sheila, how are you?
Welcome.
Doing well. Living the coronavirus quarantine dream. So, you guys, we wanted to talk with you guys today because you guys are partners in some projects, and Bob, you're a builder, developer, and also involved in remodeling. And Joel, you're obviously one of the largest real estate firms in the New Haven area and southern part of the state. And just want to get a sense from you guys what you're seeing out there, what how business is going. Are there unique things that you're finding in these times, and any unique inquiries that you guys are hearing from right now?
Sure. I appreciate you guys having me here today, and especially with Bob. So let me take it from the realtor perspective. We've done a lot to make it very comfortable for buyers to visit properties, especially our new construction, and just keep it out there in front of the general public. And whenever there is an opportunity for an actual physical showing, we make sure that we're following the guidelines that have been set down by the governor and DECD to make sure that those showings are done safely. And it's been effective. Last month we exceeded our expectations that we set out in January for sales. This month we're a little bit short of that, but certainly I believe at this moment in time we're about 60 sales, and it's a mix of new construction and residential resale.
Great news. That's awesome.
Yep.
Bob, what are you seeing out there with your clients?
So it's been really quite interesting. Who would have thought 30 days or 45 days ago we'd be sitting here today in these situations? It's really been, for me, shocking that people are still really interested in talking about remodeling, talking about new homes. While we're not signing a lot of contracts in the last 30 days or so, there's still a ton of inquiries. I think this week alone, just our internet leads have been 6 or 8 leads, and that's as high as we take in a normal week. And I don't know if that's people sitting home and just thinking about how inferior their house is. It's too small. It needs to be updated. And, when they're working every day, they don't notice it. Maybe they're home with their families now, and it feels a lot smaller today than it did, 3 months ago. But we're seeing more activity than I quite honestly would have expected, given what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, you touched upon a change. I think you're seeing more online requests to do business with you. Can you share about other changes that you've had to make within your business to date due to the sheltering in place?
Yep. So we've made some changes. Obviously, like everyone else, our office is closed while I'm working in the office. We don't allow any visitors here. We're meeting people out on the job sites when we can, if they need to do a walkthrough. Trying to really limit it to outside activities as best we can. We're not seeing remodeling inside right now, but we're talking to people, giving them ideas, even doing some pricing if they kind of know what they're looking for. If they can send us some information about what they have in mind, we're doing that all ahead of time. So kind of preparing for when there's something more normal to go back to, when we can go back into people's houses. But we have put off a couple of our interior remodeling jobs. We've got some larger an in-law apartment under construction right now. It's basically an 1,100 square foot addition, so it's a small house. And that's getting framed right as we speak. Well, not today, it's raining out. So if it weren't raining, they'd be framing today. And a lot of new construction going on right now. So that's all been really positive as far as I'm concerned. And everyone's been very understanding as far as social distancing and a little differently than we would have a few months ago. Joel and I were talking earlier about one of the projects we're looking at up in Glastonbury. We're talking with a homeowner about doing some work on their house, and that's about, we're based in Wallingford, so we're a 40-minute ride away from them. So a couple of weeks ago, we had an appointment with them, and we were going to drive up and meet them, and it was right when the coronavirus was really getting started, so we weren't sure we should. First, Greg and I, one of my guys in my office that does a lot of our sales and pricing, was going to go up with me. We're going to have to take 2 vehicles up and spend a half hour, 45 minutes with the customer, and then drive back here 40 minutes. So instead, we got on a conference call. This is, again, before I even knew what Zoom was. And so we got on a conference call, talked to them about their plans. We had emailed up their plans ahead of time so we could go over them with them. Spent probably a half hour on the phone, went over a lot of the details. They had some suggestions and questions and revisions to make to their plans. So in the time it would have taken us to drive back to the office, Greg was able to get on the computer, update the CAD drawings with the new plans, give him some idea on pricing, sent it back to him. So just the efficiency of just, eliminating that drive time was pretty remarkable. Something I hadn't really ever thought about that it would be feasible or even make sense. And again, that was a conference call. And now that we got Zoom, we're starting to think that we're going to start doing this more and more often. It's just a new reality that I think will really increase our efficiency down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. We, I hadn't used Zoom until mid-March, and now it's like something we use every single day, and it's amazing the technology that we've all been introduced to and started using it as a customary thing in the past month or so. So, what are you guys seeing anything unique? We've heard some people that are real estate folks that are seeing more people from the New York area and the metropolitan areas and the high density areas that are looking to move up into Connecticut. Are you guys seeing some of that activity?
So we haven't seen it per se. However, we have, I sit on the board of directors for the State Connecticut Realtor Association, and talking to some of the people that I know down in Fairfield County, they're definitely seeing that movement. People coming out of the city and either are spending a lot of money for leasing or looking into purchasing homes. I think it's just a matter of time before we start to see that movement coming up towards the New Haven area and possibly up into the Hartford area of the state, especially along the corridor of 91 and the trains and having access back into the city when they need to work. So it's a good thing. And one of the things that I know Bob and some of the other builders that we work with are doing is making sure that we have product available up and ready, or at least a quick delivery or move-in ready product, so that when people are ready to make that decision to move here, we have something to have for them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things too, is that it seems like 2020 started out. It seems like it started really strong in January, February. We had a mild winter, and it seemed like the member feedback we were getting was pretty strong. Obviously, this virus came up and it slammed the brakes on literally to everything that was going on. The economy stopped, but the sense that we're hearing is that a lot of people are seeing, this could be kind of a good rebound and a positive thing for Connecticut, where people are, maybe looking, we don't need to be in such a high density area. There's quality of life. We can, live in the more suburban areas. And to Bob's point, you can do most of your meetings remotely now and not have to go into the city even on a regular basis. Maybe go in, once or twice a week, and that's it. So I think we've been hearing a lot of people saying that they're hopeful this will be a very positive thing for Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. We agree.
Yeah, I'm thinking that very thing. It's sort of, we're in the interim portion of this. Not really sure where it's all going to go, but I do feel like maybe there are going to be some changes like that, where people are going to think more about their home and working from home, and maybe educating their kids from home. The storage needs in your house, all these things that, not that anybody ever said that we need less storage in a house, but now it's even more important. The home being your castle, it's your safe place, is more critical today than ever. And I do see that as maybe long range being something that we can capitalize on. You're right. Do people have to go to New York City, at least not every day, in the future? That's quite possible. So the need to be within 30 minutes of your office may not be as important as it was 2 months ago. And that could change, where the eastern part of the state could see some huge gains, because people would rather be in a more rural area where the good schools are and there's things to do, outside activities. There's all sorts of things that I don't know that we even really are fully sure what those would be right now, but I can see that kind of thing happening down the road.
Right.
And I'm sure some of the specific things to the home also would be your workspace that they are considering now, because how many of us have had to spread out in one home and have multiple people have a workspace? You typically don't have an office but we haven't had multiple spaces that have to be utilized like that at the same time. So I wonder if the spaces within the home are also going to change based upon that, in addition to the storage.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
I would
one of
say
the
definitely home offices would be a big one. And you're right, the home office used to be maybe you clear off the dining room table and you put your laptop on it one day a week or a couple times a month or something like that. Maybe do something after dinner. Now it's just all day. They're putting 8 hours in, so maybe you need something a little more isolated from the kids running in the background or other activities of the household. And they might not need some quiet time while they're listening to their teacher on a Zoom meeting or something like that. So yeah, I can definitely see where the design of that space might look different today than it would have 3 months ago.
Yeah, and I agree. And also the thing that's important to note here is that people might have a different thought about living in apartments and high rises and want their own private entrances so in their own houses. We really believe there's going to be a stepped up demand for new homes, especially. And certainly, if it's a condominium where people do have their own, entrance, and they're not having to deal with elevators and common hallways and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of changes going on. I also wanted to thing that is probably good to know is, and Bob would probably have to talk about it, is package portals attached to our houses. Maybe access them through the garages where the delivery guys can literally put a code in and drop your package off in a secure place, since we're seeing a whole lot more delivery than we have really in the past.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, you don't know what it's necessarily going to look like. Is it a small individual room like a closet with a door on the inside and the outside? Is it access to your garage just by using a remote internet access for a garage door opener? You give them the temporary code, it opens up, and once it closes, it shuts off so nobody can come back in. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that I think technology is going to obviously pick up. I mean, you think about this, if this were 10 or 20 years ago, the technology wasn't nearly what it is today, and we'd be doing things totally different. We'd all be on a cell phone, maybe talking to each other, but we wouldn't be seeing each other face to face for sure.
That's right. And so, I was going to say, we take the technology that we're using right here, and certainly we are able to do selection meetings with people that maybe are not comfortable coming into the sales center and picking out what they need for their new homes. So we could do it just the same way we're doing this call right now. Same thing with sales agreements, any supporting documentation. We can bring it up on the screen, work with the client together, and effectuate the execution of those documents right on the spot. And it's been the technology is there, and we're taking advantage of it and using it so we can essentially keep everything moving along.
Yeah.
It has been neat, I know, from the association standpoint, to see so many, I think, begin to learn about the technology, just as we have. But some that I would say would be typically fearful of it have embraced it a little, hesitant at first, but have fully embraced it and love exactly what you're talking about, Joel. Once they see it and able to, use it effectively, they are enjoying it. And I think the most important, exactly what you said, we're able to see each other. We see it face to face, and that's the neat thing about that, to be able to keep that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sort of like when you think about the difference having a conversation by text or email, where you don't always get somebody's emotion, and sometimes you misunderstand what somebody says or types. And when you talk on a phone, sometimes you can get the verbal cues, but certainly seeing someone face to face is that next level of, were they really happy? Was that sort of not really as happy as I would have hoped they would have been? That was there? Did they show excitement? Was my price exciting for them, or was it disappointing? Those kind of things.
Or was the husband excited and the wife not? And you really know that you need to do something different because she's going to make the decision.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And of course, me with my sarcasm, sometimes it doesn't come across in email. So this is important that you can tell whether this is a joke or I'm serious, I hope.
No, absolutely.
All good things.
Yeah.
Yes,
There
it has been.
technology that we're still probably working out some bugs. I agree we can do most of our decisions and selections and that sort of thing, but there are a couple things that I'm still struggling with, and that is like color choices. will someone be able to pick out their granite countertop and match it up to their tile floor and their paint color all online? And so some of those areas, because everybody knows their computer always has a little different tint to it. And so we're struggling in some of those areas. How we do that. And I'm sure we're going to figure it out. I just, sitting here today, I don't know if we have that totally.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll continue to develop and evolve, and Bob, you're the chairman of the statewide government affairs committee with the Connecticut Home Builders Association, and I think this will have an impact as well on some of the issues and the battles that we're fighting and advocating for at the state capitol in next year's session as well.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Obviously, the whole new perspective on how things are done. Electronic signatures are now being allowed. Notaries don't have to be face to face with you right this minute. So some of that, probably change. I know a lot of the attorneys still want somebody's real signature on a deed, which kind of makes sense. But there'll be a time where they're going to figure out a way to make sure it's secure. That somebody's signature. Maybe it's just like this. You're going to watch me sign something right in front of you. Even though you're not sitting 5 feet from me, you know that it's really me signing it, not someone else that says they're me. Things that we're going to work out. And on the zoning and planning and zoning and wetland issues, they're starting to make some provisions for internet-based meetings. Some towns are being successful with that. Some are really being dragged into it unwillingly. We've had a couple of meetings actually canceled while they kind of figure out how they're going to do this, work out the bugs. How do we allow public participation in the process? So there's still, we're not done figuring it out yet, but I'm surprised at how well, quite honestly, the municipalities have stepped up. We're continuing to get building permits with towns that a lot of them don't even have, really, everybody's not on email. Got a way to get them into the office, make deliveries, keep everybody safe at the same time. And the inspectors are still coming out and doing their inspections. Zoning and health departments are signing off on paperwork. So I'm really pleased that, for all their difficulties on that end, they're still helping where they can to keep us moving forward.
Yep. Absolutely. It's been a whole new world in a very short period of time. That's for sure. It was my daughter was saying today, she can't believe that April is already over and it went by so fast, which I was excited to hear because she's been quarantined for the month of April. So it went by fast. I think we've all learned a lot of new things and new tricks this spring. So it's been good. Well, I wanted to thank Joel and Bob for joining us today and adding to our conversation and give a little insight on what you guys are seeing out in the field and some of the new things that you're seeing in your businesses, as well as the technology and how we go about using and implementing the technology into our businesses on a day-to-day basis. So thank you guys very much for joining us.
Thank
Hey,
you.
thank you for having us.
We'll talk to you soon, and we'll be well.
Be well, be
thank
safe.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah.